fact that someone takes their dog out to help other people have that warm and comforting feeling of a pet. And you know, a pet loves you no matter what.
Hand-In-Paw serves a number of facilities in Jefferson County and Shelby County. We serve approximately 50 facilities right now.
We do the Comprehensive Cancer Center, and we do animal-assisted activities, which is really a friendly visit, and then we do animal-assisted therapy, and this is Petscription, that's more goal-oriented.
The Positive Living program that helps the youth who are at risk.
We then have a great program called Sit, Stay, Read, and children read to the dogs. And it is amazing that these children who are reluctant readers, scared to read, start reading to these dogs, and by the end of the school year, they're actually reading a couple of grade levels ahead.
I know that Hand-In-Paw touches at least over 50,000 people per year.
James, Hand-In-Paw's downstairs, you want to go? And here he's hooked up with the chemo in his body and the little tree, and he's stepping up out of bed, and I was, slow down, just wait. And got his shoes on, and we walked down there. And there's a Basset Hound that's 200 years old. And all that dog wanted people to do was pet it. That was it.
I remember that dog.
You remember that dog?
He was really big and he started walking me.
That's right, and all he wanted you to do was pet him. He didn't do any tricks. He barely could walk around. We walked down there, we're petting him and everything, and there's a little girl that was probably 2 years old, and she was in a foam bath seat, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. And that dog walked over to her and stuck his head under her hand and started moving. The laughter that came out of that little girl's mouth was phenomenal. And I looked at my dad and I said, we walked down here. He's hooked up to chemo, but we walked down there to see these dogs. And the laughter and joy those dogs bring help these kids through things that, frankly, no adult probably could go through.
It's the whole concept of animal-assisted therapy. That's one part of what we do. But the other part is that we have 150 people in this community that are volunteering. They are volunteering in 2010 to go out and do this work.
I thought back to when I had cancer when I was a baby, a small child, and how when I went through my radiation treatments and chemotherapy treatments, how much I would have appreciated having a Pet Partners team around.
It's a ministry to me, you know, working with people that are less fortunate than I am.
It was a family and both of the children were in the hospital at the same time. And only one of the sisters could come down to visit. And she had to make sure that I gave her a picture of Lulu so that she could give to her sister. And actually she came down at the top of the hour and she had gone back upstairs to give her a picture. And then she came back down with a camera because she wanted a real picture with herself and the dog so that she could go run back up there and show it to her sister. And the mom's just back and forth, and at the end the mom just came up and gave me a hug and gave Lula a hug and said, you know, thank you so much. You don't understand, they've had the worst day. They don't want to get out of their room, they don't want to do anything, but you know, you and Lula have brightened their days.
And when people understand that and see the interactions of the animals and the people we deal with, they can't help but get involved.
There's pretty much only one way I know of where you can volunteer with your best friend, your pet, and that's Hand-In-Paw.
To maintain Hand-In-Paw services to the facilities, annually each facility costs Hand-In-Paw $7,000.
Well, 80% of our budget goes directly to funding. It goes directly to that child that's learning how to walk. It goes directly to the Alzheimer's patient that talked for the first time that week because an animal was in his lap.
There are currently more than 60 facilities waiting to receive our service. And the only thing that keeps us from reaching out to these additional facilities right now are just the resources.
I don't know how you ever really put a value on what we see and what we do. It's life-changing.
He was a special needs child and 5 years old, and we were told by the therapist and the teachers that he doesn't talk. His parents have had him through lots of therapy. This boy isn't going to talk. We went around the room and the little boy spoke for the first time in his life. He said, "Doggy."
Well, we're funded through grants, donations, and then our biggest fundraiser, of course, is PIcasso Pets. And we rely very heavily on this event.
Lula and I would love to continue to do this. As many teams, as many volunteers as we can get involved in this program, the better, the more lives that we can affect, and it's all done through your donations.
Perhaps you can't go to the hospital. Perhaps you can't volunteer. Perhaps you can't do some of those things. But what you can do tonight is know that where your dollar's going, that any donation you make tonight is serving a child, that a child's life is better, that a person in a nursing home's life is better, that a child struggling to walk is better because of your donation. 80% we talked about, it's going to that child, so you can sit back tonight and although you might not have been there, you can smile and you can know that you made a difference.